stay that way. And looking forward to see your work.
Thanks, Valerie. We also have, I know Chris, it's early for you, but Chris also will be one of the technical advisors. Chris, you want to say a few words? I don't know if you want to put on camera, but put you on the spot.
Hi. I'm in Colorado with David. I'm going to be assisting with the website redesign. I'm so excited to see everything that you guys come up with.
Oh, nice. So you're from Northeast Colorado, is that right, Crystal?
Yeah, I'm originally from New York, but I've been in Colorado for about 15 years now.
Cool. And do you know by any chance if David is around, or can you send him
I can definitely, I know that on the meeting invite that he sent me, there was two, there was a Zoom link and a Google link, and I went to the Google one first, so I wonder if that's what he did. But yeah,
no,
I
that's
can reach
definitely
out to
Zoom.
him.
Yeah.
And Chris McLean, do you want to have a quick word as well, if you're able to talk? Chris McLean is from Sydney and is going to be one of the technical advisors. You can also reach out for technical issues or questions.
Perfect.
Yep, I'll say a quick hi, but as I said, it's 5 a.m. here and I'm trying to keep the rest of the house asleep, but happy to help, happy to be here.
Cool. But Benita, while we're waiting for David, do you want to say a few words as well?
Yeah, I think we also have Sarah from the team, and Dennis and Jenna. Lots of folks from the team joining. So thank you all for coming. Yeah, so I'm, as Frederick mentioned, Benita, co-founder of Data Changemakers. We're really excited because, you know, we've done a lot of data visualization projects in the past with Viz for Social Good, and we just wrapped up one with Boomi. But this one is really interesting because it's about data wrangling first. And we all know data vises are great. But if you don't have the right data and it's not in the right structure, you're really not going to get anywhere. So this is a great opportunity for us. It's also allowing us as a team in Data Changemakers to branch off into other aspects of data, which we want to get into either through the volunteer-driven projects or consulting. So this is definitely a great opportunity to look at data wrangling, again, tool agnostic, which is fantastic as well. So can't wait to see how everybody's creative minds comes together with data wrangling.
While we're waiting for David, what I can do is I can share a few slides and then we can maybe explain you about the process. So as I said, Valerie is going to be the project manager. It's a new project in a sense that we've got a data wrangling and a data viz phase. We've got two phases. Normally we do data viz. Now this time there's a bit more to it. And we've set up a couple of a tool, ClickUp, for example, to in the Google Sheet to set up teams if you want to work as teams as well. So I'm going to share my screen and only show you a couple of things, and then maybe you can, if I don't see David joining the chat, maybe Venta, you can see if he's coming, and then when he comes, we can let him. Oh, David is just there.
I'm here.
Just so nice.
I am so sorry. My computer decided I needed an update right before this meeting, and it took 5 minutes. I'm so sorry I'm late.
That's all right. David, how are you? You good?
Very good.
You can join.
I'm so happy to see everybody.
So David is our guest as well with Chris, sorry, from Northeast Colorado. So I was explaining, David, I'm going to show a couple of slides, but I'll let you talk to the volunteers about what you do, the challenges, explain what you want to do with the data. And then towards the end of the project, we'll have QA, but also Valerie and the team would explain about the process, what we call a hackathon. We'll do at the end. But so I'll do a few slides of intro and remind people of the dates. But then you'll have the floor, David, and you can talk about No Kills, Colorado.
Super.
And get questions. Cool.
Let me know when.
Nice. Oh, I just need 5 minutes. So just very quick slides. The key one I wanted to remind everyone was, so obviously we're here with David and Chris helping No Kills Colorado today and next 4 or 5 weeks. So a quick agenda, a quick welcome. David would basically spend a good half an hour explain you what is No-Kill Colorado and then the challenge and the type of questions you want answered. It's a fascinating project and mission and fascinating data. So I think you guys should have a lot of fun and helping David. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to sort of quickly reinforce. So today is the kickoff of the data running project, welcoming David and the volunteers. So today, 5th or 6th of September, depending on where you are. For me, it's the 6th. Something to keep in mind is you'll be able to form teams or work individuals. It depends, you can choose. And then Valerie would explain you the process, but we want the submission by the 26th of September. So we've got a form on our website where you can submit your solution. It could be a cleanup data, a script or process or flow, and then a quick 5 minutes video, very informal video to basically explain us how you've done your solution. And obviously when the data wrangling phase has finished, we should have a cleanup data set. Then everyone can start the viz phase, which is early October. And then we'll have a deadline this one. So we'll have 4 weeks roughly to basically come up with the storytelling. And then we'll have a live showcase towards the end where now the people that are doing the viz phase would basically showcase to David. And we'll explain that later, maybe in Slack, but I just wanted to reinforce that it's a multi-phase stage. We've got different dates, but keep those in mind. They're also on our website, and you can always ask us in Slack. But today we're starting the wrangling phase. So that's all I wanted to quickly explain. So I just want to have that time for David to explain what you do, David, and over to you, and welcome again.
Thanks so much, Frederick, and thank you everybody for coming here today. It's really exciting for us. So if you're not familiar with the no-kill movement, it's been around a few decades now, and it was about changing the animal shelter systems. That basically it's based on the fact that we can save every healthy or treatable pet. We actually know this from statistics nationwide in the US, and it's probably true in many other countries. We have 32 million people looking to bring a pet into their life every year in the United States, and there's probably a little over 1 million pets dying in our shelter system. So we know we can actually do that. What we generally need to do is find ways to actually reroute people's search for animals towards shelters and rescues instead of purchasing and that kind of thing. No Kill Colorado is focused only on the state of Colorado here in the US. And we have been working since 2011 is when we started. We actually became a nonprofit in 2014. We're an advocacy group. We don't directly rescue. We support rescue organizations and shelters. We do work at the state government, talking to legislators, trying to make sure that there's responsible law that actually helps us save animals. We raise money for other shelters and rescues to have adoption events, spay, neuter, medical clinics, behavior modification especially for large dogs that maybe seem a little too energetic, and they're harder to adopt, to actually help them get out of the shelter. The important kind of lexicon that I like to point out is that we know with certainty we can save every healthy and treatable pet in Colorado, right? We separate the word kill and euthanasia. That's why we're called No Kill Colorado. Killing and euthanasia are two different things. Euthanasia has a dictionary definition of allowing or participating in the end of life for an irremediably suffering individual, right? If they're not irremediably suffering, you can't euthanize them by definition. So we need to make sure that we get those animals out of the shelter. In Colorado, I'll give you some statistics that I actually know. About 2 years ago, when I looked at the statistics, we we had about 9,500 animals that lost their lives in our shelter system. Now this is the hard one. The second data point is our estimate, and this was an unscientific method, but we believe about half of them were healthy or treatable. So we killed about 5,000 animals in our shelter system. We want to really save that last 5,000, right? If it's euthanasia because an animal is suffering and we can't help it, that's humane, right? But if we're not, that's where we want to go to. And so this project is really built at looking at these numbers that we have. And the numbers that we have, actually, any questions on the no-kill movement before I go the next next phase? No? Okay. So I think I'm sharing this correctly. I'll share because I'm trying to share a whole
Yeah, we can see the screen. Oh, good.
okay, good. So this is our website, No Kill Colorado. It's not as pretty as it should be. It's actually in a revamp, which I'm actually excited about because that's happening in parallel with what you guys are doing. And I'm really excited about the visuals we may get out of this project with what we're actually trying to do to the website. And if you go to nokillcolorado.org, and you could just Google that, it pretty much No Kill Colorado we come up first, which is nice. Last time I did any stats, they're very rudimentary, but this gives you an idea of the way we look at data. So if you want to take a look at that and understand what we do, you can see it here. And as you can see, I do great bar charts. That's it, right? But I think you can help me actually tell this story in a much more precise and captivating way, so we can help the public understand, help politicians understand that we have an achievable goal and we just need a little bump to actually get there. When I started this in 2011, Colorado was killing about 30,000 animals in the animal shelter system. And today, as I said, it's about 5,000, right? Now, that was 15 years. It wasn't No Kill Colorado alone. I do not take credit for that. But we've been, for lack of a better word, annoying the shelter system to do a better job that entire time. And we've seen great improvements over that period. And we think we can get the final step now. We're this close. And one of the big statistics that I've used over and over is that, first of all, we have over 100,000 adoptions a year, right? We've had that for, I think, over 5 years now. Every year, over 100,000 adoptions just in the state of Colorado, which is fantastic. So we just need to raise that percentage a little bit, right, to get all the way where we need to get to. The other thing is we import tens of thousands of animals from other states. Now, that's a good thing. We should help our neighbors, right? But I don't see why an animal down the block should die when we are getting tens of thousands from other states. We should help that animal first, and then we should still go out of state and help the tens of thousands that we're transferring in. So some of the key statistics, is this showing me switching pages, or do I have to reshare?
No, we can see the other page as well, David.
Oh, okay, good.
Cool.
So this is PACFA, the Pet Animal Care Facilities Act in Colorado. One of the best things, not every state does this. Colorado demands that all shelters and rescues report all the statistics of the animals coming in and getting out of their shelter every year. And we have the statistics from 2016 to 2023 right now. They're all right here. Now, the first part of this project that Fred was talking about, one of the difficult things is sometimes they change the column names from one year to another, or they've even changed, added one that wasn't in there before, so that can mess it up. And we have to get it so that we can aggregate all 8 of these years into a single data set that we can actually use, so we can actually do the trending for adoptions, which that one hasn't changed, so that's going to be easy, right? But transfers and shelter euthanasia. That one changed on different years. Owner requested euthanasia plus shelter euthanasia in some years. We need to bring those together and make sure that this data is right and all the numbers work out. They're not wild different on each year, but there's just enough nuance that if we didn't look at that, we would actually not be providing good data, right? In addition to that, there's a second list, and this is my screen is changing, right? Because I can't see it. Okay, good. So the second list is all the licenses in Colorado. So in addition to shelters and rescues having to report statistics, they have to be licensed. And unfortunately, they don't combine those lists, because what this list gives me is their geographic area, right? So now we can map, but we have to match them, right? From the name on one to the name on the other. And that name could have a character off again, right? Not always, but enough that we would have that problem once in a while in order to clean that data so we actually can get all the geo information in there. The last thing, and this is the hardest, actually, Valerie had a really good suggestion for me here, but what would be really cool is if we could actually get the contact information for each one of them. Now, this is public information, but it's not in a nice form like this. It's on their website, right? Their website URL, their phone number, and their, info@rescue.org, whatever. I don't know if we have a way that we could actually do that programmatically. If there is, that would be fantastic. It's kind of that's kind of my what is it, extended hope, right? And if we don't do that, that's not it. But the geographic information is imperative for us to get really good information and to visualize this in a way so we could say this county is doing well this year, but it was doing poorly last year, so we see an improvement, right? Or just the whole map of Colorado. Where are our trouble spots? Is it 3 counties in the southeast? What's going on down there? Right? Or trending, where they got better or worse over time. These are the kinds of things that we actually want to put together. And then also we want to look at transfers, because each year those transfers change. I've seen it as low as, I think on here, we'll see them as low as 14,000 transfers from out of state in a year to as high as 53,000 transfers for out of state. Now, how did that affect our life saving internally? Right? We can figure that out from here, and we can actually show what's going on when certain things happen. And those are the things we can now look at and address of how we save every healthy and treatable pet entering the shelter system in Colorado, and then how we help our neighbors afterwards. Because I don't want a single pet that could come to Colorado and be saved not to be able to get here, right? That's not the goal. I'm not trying to stop transfers. We're trying to show the relation of this data and how it actually affects lives saved. I talked a lot. Any questions yet?
That's good, David. I think your passion comes across, and you got a lot of stories to tell. David, you want also to mention the lobbyists. You told us when we were preparing the meeting that you got lobbyists as well that can use the data as well to showcase and tell stories. I think that's good as well for volunteers to know.
Yeah, so there's, the more I think about it, I'm trying not to get too many audiences, right? But the first audience is the general public, right? We want the general public to easily understand what's happening, because they're our best advocates. If I can get 100, 1,000, 10,000 Coloradans to stand up and go, "Hey, did you see what these guys showed? This is important," right? And some of those are actual rescuers or shelters. Now, shelters, I will tell you, are not very happy with this information all the time, because they don't like to be exposed that way. I don't think of it as exposure. I think of it as we learn from mistakes we're making, and that's how we improve. That's what doing this data stuff is all about, right? Is actually looking at what we have and how we're actually going to improve that going forward. Then we have politicians. As I said, I have a lobbyist at the state of Colorado that helps me. We go there every year. We passed a law last year to help rural Colorado with better spay-neuter funding through a state program. We didn't ask for another penny. We just said, hey, that money's being spent in the urban centers, which have money. Can we spend it more in the rural centers, which don't have money and have a big problem? So we do things like that with the data, and that was some of the data that I had compiled on my own in my rudimentary fashion. um, but it was enough to get some traction, right? But I think we can get a lot more traction with your help in actually making this another way. And then lastly, of course, I will be hitting up the news outlets. It'll be on our Facebook. We have about 13,000 followers today. Our email list of, 1,000 very interested Coloradans that are there. And I hope to expand all those through what we're actually doing here today.
That's cool. That's nice. Any questions from the volunteers?
I have a
Mike,
question about the data, but I don't know if this is too in the weeds for them. So I'm going to ask it, and if you want to park it, we can. I looked at this when it first came up on Reddit, and it looked like your data. Yeah, those data sets right there. So it looked like, as I understood it, the spreadsheets were set up such that each column is like animal, what was done with them, and time period, kind of with new lines breaking them up. And I think you wanted to kind of compile like all dogs that were adopted and kind of put those all together and show what the change was within the years. So we're basically doing an exercise for the wrangle portion of parsing the column out. So you'd want all the dog things put together and take out some of the extra details, all the cat things put together, and separately you want to be able to analyze the shelter of Longmont had this many animals go through their system successfully, that kind of thing. Is that the gist of where you want to get to? Is that what you want your final data set kind of look like before we start visualizing it?
If we look at it, yeah, I think yes, Mike, but I want to make sure that I answered the question correctly, right?
Yeah.
So like, when I use when I did the ones, if you look on my on our site and you look at the analysis I did do, those are single year ones, but so the big change here is multiple year and trending. But it's quite often a combination. Like most shelters really just handle dogs and cats. So there's something called live release rate, which is kind of a standard in sheltering. It's not a standard calculation, but it's a standard term. And then people have different, we have a specific way of looking at it. We look at all outcomes in a year. So let's say a shelter had 100 out. Let's just go with easy numbers, right? 100 outcomes in a year. 10 were what we call negative, which basically means they didn't leave alive. And then 90 were positive. That's a 90% live release rate, right? That's how they got out. So I'm going to want to trend things like that over, 8 years. Is what were the dog live release rates? What are the cat live release rates? What were they? And I'm going to want to see that in a line chart, because what if dogs have been going up for 6 years and cats have been going down for 6 years? That is a number that matters. And in all years, I believe they have kittens and puppies. Now they don't do that for other animals because they have reptiles in there, rabbits, etc. Small mammals, amphibians, birds, and something else. We mainly deal with dogs and cats, but we actually care about all the others. So if we're doing it, I think if you're doing one, you can actually aggregate them all. I don't think that's going to be a big challenge if we do one. So I do want to see them all, but what we do want is the live release rate of a shelter in general, which is everything. All animals in, all animals out. When sometimes we say all noses in, all noses out. That's what we call it, which is not fair to the birds, but we include them anyway. And then sometimes, but then sometimes we do all. Then we do all dogs. Then we do all cats. Then we do dogs and puppies, cats and kittens, because those comparisons all matter, right, between them. So does that help answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. I guess when I was looking at it before, it looks like it's just kind of reparsing the columns and then allowing you to sum them however you want. So like one of the columns is, dogs in. I can't remember what all the different.
I'll tell you, there's stray. But basically, most animals come in either as strays, right? That's the one
Right.
category. Or transfer in from another Colorado organization, transfer in from an out-of-state organization.
Yeah.
And that's where those transfers get interesting, right? Because
And-
here's an interesting statistic when you think, or a data point, I should say. When you transfer an animal inside the state, which is the activity is a good thing. But for a live release rate of the state, that's 2 lives saved, because I had the animal and I transfer it to you, Mike, right? So now I have 1 live release rate because he left the shelter alive. You take that animal and you adopt it out. That's 2 lives saved for 1 dog. Or,
how you want the
or
math to work at the end of the day?
well, I don't know how we would ever visualize this, but if we could, it'd be awesome, because the secondary part is I have a live release rate and I transfer it to your shelter, and your shelter does euthanize that animal. That's 0. That animal never even existed.
Right.
Isn't that interesting, right? The way that actually works. Now, when it's out of state, it works a little different, but when it's in state, that's the way it works, right?
Right.
And then, as I said, the out of state are interesting just because we're bringing in tens of thousands, and thousands are losing their lives. So we know we can save every healthy and treatable pet in Colorado. We have more than enough adopters from those simple data points.
And from what I recall from this data, we wouldn't be able to tell that the ABC shelter transferred to 123 shelter. 123 shelter euthanized that particular animal, but they sorry, not euthanized, killed that one particular animal, and then had other live releases. But the data is already pre-filed such that we can't parse that was the animal that came in, right? Is that accurate?
We the individual statistics, we would have to talk to each and every shelter,
Right.
get every single individual record. So we have to work
Yeah.
with this data as it is. But we can I think we can still get interesting information out of this. Right? I have, as I said, I think mine is rudimentary, and I think we could do so much better than I did as a team. But yeah, you know, that opportunity is huge. And I will say that if we, if we have a decent, well-documented process, we can actually change other states, right? Because they can see, oh my, that this is possible. I was like, yeah, all you have to do is tell your shelters and rescues to report every year. And then, there's a process for actually going there. And we can start changing other states by this work.
So David, you're saying that the other states also capture the data, or they don't necessarily?
Sometimes they don't even capture it, but some of them
Okay.
do, and they don't do anything with it. Colorado does nothing with it. If I didn't do my terrible little analysis I do every couple of years, nobody does it. Nobody puts that. I'm the only one who's ever put out anything on this data.
So it could be a showcase. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, I hope you can be the showcase.
Oh, we help you. We help you be the showcase.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Also
want to
cool.
show people this. I'm so, this is why I'm excited, because we can do something that's, in my opinion, never done before.
Awesome question, Mark. Reminding that we'll have a data change maker Slack as well. So if you got questions, you can ping David in the Slack and then ask those questions, and we might just come up with a QA form, FAQ form as well, and combine all those questions and answers into one doc. So if you're a bit shy, if you don't have questions now, but you can ask questions in Slack later. There's so many stories, David, that you can tell with the data. Amazing.
I think we can say things that we can show things that have never been considered before. And Colorado is a good state. Just, we're one of the leaders in saving lives in the United States, which is important. I just don't understand why we can't get that last inch. I'm trying to get that last inch, because if we're the first ones to do that, we again become example to every other state, because the people in Colorado are not better than other people. I mean, right? People are people,
Yeah.
right? If we could do it in Colorado, you could do it in Utah, and you can do it in Texas, and you could do it in New Jersey. You can do it anywhere, and you could do it in England or France, Australia, or wherever, right? It doesn't really matter. If you could do it in one place, you can show how it actually can happen. And if it happens, it can't be impossible if it exists.
Do we have any more questions from volunteers? There's quite a few sort of technical questions on how to get access to the website or the data. Valerie can talk about the process as well and show you the ClickUp space we've set up, the Google link we've set up where you can work at Steams if you want. So if there's no more question right now, Valerie, you want to take over and then show us the ClickUp
Can I ask a quick
space?
question? Sorry,
Yeah,
one
go
quick
ahead.
question. On the out-of-state transfers, are those more related to natural disasters? And if so, would that be something we could do some trending or correlation on?
Well, that would be interesting to see. You could probably, but they're not, the metadata isn't there for that. But that is not why it happens. Tens of thousands happen on a regular basis. We have a lot of rescues that I don't want to disparage them, but they find it easier to drive to Texas, go pick up a whole bunch of puppies from some shelter that lets them take any animal. They come back here and they can get them out in a day, right? They're sometimes called retail rescues because they're not quite doing the work that we'd like to see them do, right, of getting those animals that are in jeopardy. But that we definitely saw it for Hurricane Harvey, which was in, I don't remember when it was about 7 years ago, I think it was. Hurricane Harvey, we absolutely saw an influx during that time. Katrina, which may have been too far back for the data, was Katrina after 2016? I don't know. We definitely saw an influx of that. California wildfires. We saw a Florida hurricane. Those all increased numbers for a very short period of time, but they are not tracked in any way, shape, or form with the metadata that we need. But it might be an interesting month to month to look at a disaster and see if we saw a bump, because you may be able to identify that with the data automatically by looking, because we've probably taken about the same amount every year, every month of the year. And then if you saw a strange spike, we could look at news articles and go, well, this is interesting. When Hurricane Harvey happened in Houston that month, the numbers, well, they don't do it by the month. So I'm sorry, actually, it doesn't work.
David, I'm curious, during COVID, I know at least in Canada, there was such a demand for puppies that people were getting them from abroad, different countries, and there were puppy mills. And then many years later, people realized they couldn't take care of them and families and started giving them to shelters. Are you seeing that trend in the US as well with post-COVID?
Yeah, so what we're seeing okay, you have to look at the data here. This is really important because if you talk to rescuers, they're like, the sky is falling, but they always have a reason when the sky is falling, right? And right now they're saying people are giving up all the animals from the pandemic. The trend of the intakes this year is the same as about 2019, probably lower. That's before the pandemic. What happened in the pandemic is, yes, a lot of people did come in. What we are seeing is we did see a reduction in adopters because we emptied the shelters during the pandemic, and so many people took them in that they couldn't take in another one, right? And so what we saw was a lower outcome, live outcome, but the intake was about the same. So shelters were filling up, but not because more animals were coming in. It's because they were getting less animals out. Does that make sense? And this is where the data is important, because if you ask a rescuer, they're going to say twice as many animals are coming in. It's absolutely not true. The data shows that they are not coming in. We're not getting them out at the same rate that we were 2 years ago, although that's also changing. But we definitely saw a spike, or what's the reverse of a spike? We saw a downturn in adoptions, right? For a while after the pandemic.
Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. So before I explain the process, I just want to confirm something with David because I see some questions on the Slack. Let me share my screen. Okay. So David, just wanted to confirm the data. So for this project, you want the participant to use all those data, correct?
Yeah, it's really every other one because every other one is an actual data set, and then every other one is a PDF of the aggregated data, which may be useful for validation or something like that. But it's every other one is a Google spreadsheet,
Okay.
and that's the individual statistics.
Sure. And do you still want people to combine this data with the active facility list? Because I remember you were talking about that during our meeting.
A- Absolutely, yeah. So if we could combine that with the active licenses, and there is a challenge there. The active licenses are not just shelters and rescues. Shelters, rescues, groomers, other things that they license. So we kind of have to peel out just the shelters and rescues and see if we can get a match from the business name or the DBA so that we can get the city, county, and zip code for each one of those, because that'll give us the geographic ability to actually map this in maps, as well as trending over time. The maps are going to be really important, I think.
Okay, thank you so much for confirming. So I'll put the two links in the chat so we'll know that if you want to add some geographic data, you have to come here. Okay, thank you so much for confirming. So the project is actually, you can work by yourself or you can work as a group, but we don't want more than 5 people per group. And Chris created a sheet for that. So we have a Google Sheet because not everybody knows each other is in this group. So you can just go to the link and put your name and your time zone and your email. And just mostly because we want people to be able to work together according to your time zone. So, and if you want to be the team leader for a group, you can just put your name here and confirm that you want to be the team leader for that group. And we also added the submission link for the projects here, but you can also find it somewhere else on the website, for example. So that would be the first part when like it's up to you to decide if you want to work by yourself or as a group. If you want to work as a group, just go there and then form your group. But then also we were thinking if you have a group and you need a place to collaborate with your group, of course you can go to the Slack channel and communicate with people. But you can also go to the ClickUp page that we created. We created one just for No Kill Colorado. And we have a project note, so it's just going to be in the space No Kill Colorado project notes. And you can go there and you will see information about the project and for the data wrangling part. Data visualization, we'll just wait after for the second part of this project. And there's also a place for you if you want to add, like to work as a team on a whiteboard. You will just have to go here to No Kill Colorado, and then you just go to View, and you can create your whiteboard. So if you have any issues accessing the ClickUp page, you can just send a message to the Slack channel, and I'll just give you access because I'll be monitoring the Slack channel more. And if you have any questions regarding the data, again, just ask David. Any questions regarding data cleaning, data transformation, you can just ask Chris or Adrian because they'll be the one who's going to be judging your work at the end of the project. And so for the project, we were talking about, again, you have to submit the project at the end. But the way to submit is because it's data cleaning transformation. We don't know exactly which tool you're going to use. So some people want to code and some people want to use no coding tools like Tableau, Prep, or Domo or Alteryx. So we were just thinking that David doesn't have access to all those tools, but we don't want to limit your work. Just use whatever tool you want. But please, if you use something like Tableau Prep or Alteryx, you have to provide some screenshots so we can see that. Of course, we need the file. And we also need a copy of the output. So you can provide the output as CSV or Excel files, up to you. And also a quick 5-minute video so we can understand your process. Because one main reason we want to do this project is also to help David being able to recreate the data cleaning transformation process on his own. And if you decide to do a code, just send us the file. Make sure you add some notes. We want to understand exactly the steps that you took and your thought process. So it will be interesting. So if you can compile everything in a folder, zip the folder, and send it to us in the shared Google Drive before September 26th. And Frederick, I'm not sure if you have like it has to be September 26th by midnight Eastern time, or any time is fine. And once
Flexible.
we receive like what?
No, I think the daily is always flexible because it's different time zones, so it doesn't matter. But the key, I guess, is consider the costs, because I don't know if David has budget to buy expensive softwares. So I think that's a key consideration as well with your solution. When you submit your solution, Chris, who's on the call from Sydney, and Adrienne from Canada would also do a first assessment and then rank the solution, then propose them to David. But you can contact Chris from Sydney, Chris McLean, and then Adrienne on Slack to get some advice. Chris, do you want to explain a little bit about the selection process, or what you got in mind as well? If you can come off mic, or
yeah, sure, just quickly. So
yeah,
it's more just giving people the freedom to build whatever they want, but also we need to consider costs on David's side. But as I just put in the chat, I think at this stage, it doesn't matter what you build the solution in. And if it's some without naming names, something expensive that we can't afford, then there's obviously a process to convert that into something that's cheaper and better for David's situation. But don't be scared of what you use to build the best solution that you can. What happens at the end of the data wrangling phase is Adrienne and I will go through all the submissions. So obviously you create a Google Drive, share all your assets, hopefully a video that explains what your solution is. We'll evaluate that and go back to David with the top 4 or 5 for consideration to see what the actual solution is. It's the same with a lot of things like this. There will be no losers. There's going to be a winner, but then everyone else learns and everyone else helps. And you might actually find that we take little bits from a few different people in the ultimate solution to help No Kill Colorado with the best solution possible. And as I've actually said on a few of our meetings previously, and David sort of echoed that today as well, we can then take this logic and hopefully apply it to other states and other organizations in other countries. And then we've benefited, tens of thousands of animals, yes, in Colorado, and then across the world as well.
Yeah, that's great. And David, it looks like you're very keen to learn, to pick up the process that the volunteers create, and then as long as you can use the tool or whatever, you're happy to just replicate that next time or whenever.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not non-technical, but I'm really looking forward to how you actually help us solve this problem, and that hopefully it's reusable, not just by us, but as I think it was Chris was talking. Was it Chris? Chris was saying, yeah. I mean, if we actually help other states and other countries, that would be unbelievable. That'd be just fantastic.
And going back to the tool about, we are tool agnostic, but to your point, Chris, there may be tools that the volunteers may end up using, but those vendors also have philanthropy programs and may be willing to give David a license and so forth. So yeah, let's not limit ourselves with, we have to use certain tools, or because the license may be expensive, we're going to shy away from them. I think there's ways of getting around that if we really believe that that's the right tool to help David with this data, but also to scale year after year, right? The assumption is you want to keep using this product every year and adding to the data and even doing more analysis.
Correct. They're going to keep putting out this data, and I want to be adding to this trending for as long as they're doing it. And it's the law, so I don't think it's going to change. They have to do it. They have to give us these stats every year.
I saw also another question somewhere. I don't know if it was here or Leila before. If you also want to do the viz part and do the data storing while you're doing the wrangling, or if you want to do the two process or phases at the same time, you don't have to wait for the viz phase to start. You can do the wrangling and the viz and submit the two together. But I guess we want a cleanup data set and a process. But if you want to do the viz part and storytelling, don't stop. Just do it as well. That's I saw that question somewhere else. Is there any other questions on how to access data systems or all that kind of stuff? As we said, you can use Slack to contact Valerie, so Data Change Maker Slack. Sometimes Slack complains about the link at this part, which is a bit of mystery for us. So email us or ping Valerie or myself, and then we can see if we can troubleshoot that. But yes, Slack is the way where David can pick up those questions and he can answer them. Or use Adrian and Chris from Sydney as a technical contact. Or if you're confused about the process, have a chat to Valerie as well on Slack. Any more questions? I think that's really fascinating, David. Very interesting cause, very amazing cause. Any more questions from anyone? I'm going to be sharing the recording on Slack on our project page as well. So if you missed the beginning of the meeting, you can play that back. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. We see you online, and obviously if you use the submission form, we'll be in touch, and then we contact you and then advise on Slack about the viz phase that started when the data is available. But thanks for joining that kickoff. Thanks, David, for being a host and sharing your passion and your cause. It's amazing.
Thank you to everybody here. I'm very excited. I look forward to working with everybody.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you all for joining. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Back to sleep,
See you later.
Frederick.
No, not yet.
Yeah, go
The
to
cat
sleep
is
now.
complaining.
Your cat, okay. Maybe
The
it
cat is
started
complaining.
hearing about all this